Good morning, students. Today we'll discuss nomenclature of those organic compounds which have more than one functional groups, means polyfunctional organic compounds. So let us see first what are polyfunctional compounds. Poly means many, functional means functional groups. So all those organic compounds which contain two or more than two functional groups in their structure are called polyfunctional compounds. For example, you can see here this carbon compound having a straight chain of 5 carbon atom has different groups attached with different carbon atoms. For example, hydroxy group, bromine group, chlorine group, and aldehyde group, and one multiple bond. So, how we can name these compounds? So, we should follow certain rules to name these compounds. So, we'll discuss the rules of IUPAC applied for naming polyfunctional compounds. The first important thing is if an organic compound contains two or more functional groups, one of the group is selected as the principal functional group while all other groups are treated as substituents. एक ग्रुप आपने प्रिंसिपल फंक्शनल ग्रुप सेलेक्ट करना है एंड बाकी के ग्रुप्स को सब्सटीट्यूएंट्स की तरह ट्रीट करना है. And selection of principal functional group is done in accordance with priority order given by IUPAC that we'll discuss in next slide. What is the priority order given for various functional groups? Parent chain is selected having that principal functional group, and also maximum functional groups must be included in that selected chain, and preference in numbering is given to the principal group. Secondary suffix is added only for principal functional group, whereas other substituents are named as prefixes in alphabetical order. First, we will discuss priority order of functional groups. So, when a compound contains two or more functional groups, then the group which is lying above in this priority order will be selected as the principal functional group, and this series is starting with amine salts followed by carboxylic acid, sulfonic acids, anhydrides, esters, acid chlorides, acid amides, nitriles, isocyanides, aldehydes, ketones, alcohols followed by phenols, thiols, amines, then at last alkenes and alkynes. Let us see this compound having functional groups CHO, OH, NO2 and COOH. So according to the priority order, carboxylic acid group will be the principal functional group and other groups will be considered as substituents. For example, nitro, hydroxy and aldehyde group will be considered as substituents, and for these groups prefix are to be added and secondary suffix will only be added for the principal functional group, that is oic acid. The parent name will be given as oic acid and other groups name will be included as prefixes. So let us first discuss what are the prefixes used in case the particular functional group is considered as a substituent. If after selection of principal functional groups, we need to name the other groups as substituent. So these prefixes are to be used. For halogens, the prefix used is halo. For hydroxy group, alcohol group, the prefix used is hydroxy. For ether group, the prefix used is alkoxy. For amino group, the prefix used is amino. For a secondary amine group, the prefix used is alkyl amino, and if the amino group is tertiary amine, then it will be dialkyl amino. Then for aldehyde, it is formyl. For ketone, it is keto or oxo. For carboxylic acid, it is carboxy. For esters, carb alkoxy or alkoxy carbonyl. For acid chlorides, it is halocarbonyl or chlorocarbonyl. For cyanide group, it is cyano, and for acid amide group, it is carbamoyl. Let us see how to number the principal chain. So as we have selected the principal chain, after deciding the principal functional group that must be included in the chain. And moreover, if there are choices to select various possible carbon chains, then always go for the chain which contains maximum functional group and multiple bonds. And now numbering is done in such a way that the principal functional group gets the lowest possible number, followed by double bond, triple bond, and then other substituents. The order of priority for numbering would be principal functional group, double bond, then triple bond, and at last substituents. Let us see this compound. It has two different functional groups. One is hydroxy and other one is chloro, and one double bond. So here principal functional group is hydroxy group, and numbering will be done from that side where we get double bond at lowest position, because from both of the sides OH comes at first position. So second preference will be given to alkene, that is the double bond. Hence the numbering will be done from this carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, and the name would be 4-chloro but 1-ene 1,4-diol, because for 2-hydroxy group the suffix used will be diol. Next, one more example in which we can select the longest chain having 5 carbon atoms with different groups like OH, CHO, bromine, and chlorine. Here the principal functional group according to the priority order is aldehyde, and we'll start numbering from right hand side where aldehyde gets the lowest position. Hence the number will be given from right hand side to left hand side, and the name of the compound will be given in alphabetical order by giving prefixes: hydroxy for OH group, bromo for bromine, and chloro for chlorine. So the name would be alphabetically 4-bromo, 4-chloro, 5-hydroxy, pent, 2-ene, 1-L. Next compound has two different functional group, ketone and carboxylic acid. And as according to the priority series, carboxylic acid is preferably selected as the principal functional group. So we need to use prefix for ketone group. You remember what is the prefix for ketone group? Yes, it is keto or oxo. Both of them, any of them can be used. So the name would be 3-oxobutanoic acid or 3-ketobutanoic acid. Next compound, as you can see here on the screen, this is having two functional groups. One is alcohol and other one is amine. And according to this priority series, hydroxy or alcohol group is at higher preference. So the principal group will be OH, and numbering will be done from right hand side where OH will be getting lowest position. Hence the name would be 4-amino pentane 2-ol. Next compound has three groups. One is aldehyde, second one is alkoxy group or the ether group, and the third one is chloro group, halogen. So for aldehyde is the superior or the principal functional group, for which we will use secondary suffix L, whereas for other two groups prefixes would be used in alphabetical order. Hence the name would be 4-chloro 3-methoxy butane 1-ul. Next compound you can see has various groups like aldehyde, alcohol, amino, and carboxylic acid. And carboxylic acid functional group has is selected as principal functional group here, and numbering will be given from this side obviously. So the name would be given by adding three prefixes, one for aldehyde, one for hydroxy, and one for amino in alphabetical order, and the name will be 2-amino 5-formyl 3-hydroxy pentanoic acid or pentane 1-oic acid. Polyfunctional compounds. Next in this series we have one compound having COH group and amide group. So out of these two groups, carboxylic acid will be chosen as the principal functional group, and we'll select the chain selecting double bond in preference to the other group which is considered to be as a substituent, because we need to give preference to double bond over this group. So we'll select the chain of 5 carbon atoms, and number will be given, first number will be given to the carboxylic carbon, and the name of the compound will be 3-carbamyl pent 3-ene oic acid. Next compound we have with 2 hydroxy groups and 1 double and triple bond. The numbering will be done from that side where we get lowest number for OH group, and as we can see that both of the OH group will get similar number from either side, and hence we'll select the left hand side for numbering from where we'll get lowest number to double bond. Hence the name would be 6-methyl hept 2-ene 4-ine 1,7-diol. Now, if a compound contains more than 2 similar kind of functional group which has carbon in it, for example, when the same carbon containing functional group appears more than 2 times in a chain and which cannot be included in the parent chain, in that case secondary suffix used as we had discussed earlier will be different in these cases. For example, you can see if CHO group cannot be included in the parent chain, so the suffix used will be carbaldehyde. For carboxylic acid, it will be carboxylic acid. For acid halides, it will be carbonyl halide. For esters, it will be alkyl carboxylate. And for amide group, it will be carboxamide. And for cyanide group, it is carbonitrile. So these suffixes are to be used when we cannot include any of these functional groups having carbon atom in the parent chain, and that particular functional group is present in the form of a principal functional group. Let us see example. In first example, as you can see, a carbon chain of 5 carbon atoms has 2 carboxylic group at terminal ends. So here these 2 carboxylic groups are included in this parent chain, and the name of the compound will be pentane 1,5-dioic acid. This is a common example, but consider the second case where one COH group which is present at the middle carbon atom cannot be included in the parent chain. Means if we select chain from either side, we can include only 2 COH group, the third cannot be included. So in such cases, according to IUPAC, we need not to include any of these carboxylic acid group in the parent chain, and we'll number and we'll give the parent name with the leftover chain without including these groups, and the suffix used will be carboxylic acid in place of oic acid. For example, the name of this compound will be propane 1,2,3 tricarboxylic acid, as we are not including all 3 carboxylic groups here. So this rule is applied only when same type of functional group having carbon atom in it is occurring more than 2 times, and all of those cannot be included in the chain. Next compound in the same example is cyanide group. Here you can see 3 cyanide groups are present, and these 3 cannot be included at a time. Only 2 can be included. So in such case, we will leave all these 3 groups, numbering the chain with other carbon atoms. As here you can see, the chain will be selected of 4 carbon atoms excluding all 3 CN groups. And the name of the compound will be butane 1,2,3 tricarbonitrile. Here the suffix used will be carbonitrile in place of only nitrile. Next compound, again we have 3 carboxylic group and 1 hydroxy group. The name of the compound will be 2-hydroxy propane 1,2,3 tricarboxylic acid. I hope all the rules and examples are clear to you all. Thank you and have a nice day.